There is a totally new Godzilla sculpt out there made by HIYA Toys, like totally from scratch. But the thing is it actually better than the other ones that HIYA Toys has been doing? So let's check it out, open it up, and of course, do some toy photography. So this right here ain't your ordinary Godzilla figure. Well, actually, amongst the Monsterverse, it is probably the most ordinary version of Godzilla. But this ain't your ordinary Godzilla. This is a brand new sculpt of Godzilla. So HIYA Toys has obviously been putting out tons of Godzilla figures, but this one here, it looks different. The paint on it looks far better than the one I've got. And the articulation is supposedly much better, and I'm really excited. So this is actually a pretty big deal as far as the Monsterverse Godzilla figures. This could be the best Monsterverse Godzilla figure known to man. So, I mean, we'll see, maybe not, but let's definitely compare it to some other Monsterverse, some HIYA, some Schmonster Arts, even some NECAs. What do you say? Let's check it out and open it up. So if you want to pick this figure up, I would definitely give you a recommendation of where to get it, and that would be CalcusToy.com. Calcus Toy, I talk about them pretty often in my videos, but they're really one of the best places, I think, as far as getting Monsterverse, HIYA Toys, Transformers, Pacific Rim, good stuff, and a lot of times monster related stuff, kaiju related. Go to CalcusToy.com, pick up this guy, pick up a Gypsy Danger while you're at it, have them battle, and then go there for your next pre-order when it comes to Godzilla. You're definitely not going to be disappointed when you see the stock that they have. They've got a lot of good stuff. CalcusToy.com, pick this guy up, and go there next time when you got to pre-order something else. It'll be a good decision, I promise. I promise. So speaking of Monsterverse, I went ahead and I pre-ordered both the SH Monster Arts Shimo and the HIYA Toys Shimo. Yes, both of them. And it was a lot. They were pretty pricey, but they're coming in, and I'm gonna do a video, probably a couple videos because they're coming in different times, but I'm very curious to compare the two. So if you're curious too, make sure you're subscribed so you can see some as in-depth comparison between the two figures as possible. That's what I'm planning on doing. So definitely make sure you're subscribed. I can't wait for these figures, man. I'm really excited. Okay, here's Goji, and I gotta say there's already some pretty noticeable differences that I can tell with him without even comparing the two side by side yet. So the paint is, in my opinion, a little bit better. He's got definitely more of a difference in his belly. If you look in his belly, he's got a little more brighter kinds of color going on in there. And some of the detail on like his face and his spikes, there's a little bit more of a different type of, I don't know, dry brushing across that does kind of look better. The one I have, which is the Godzilla vs. Kong one, that one's just kind of like straight up gray, to be honest. And which is great, but I do like the slight variation on here. It's not huge, but it is nice. One of the things that's the biggest difference is the size. He's a lot smaller. And as far as I know, Godzilla does kind of vary in size amongst the Monsterverse movies, maybe like 10 feet or so. So he's not like canonically smaller. So it is just a smaller thing, which I don't know if that is gonna really throw off like scale and stuff with a lot of people. For me, no, it's gonna be fine. He's giant sized, that's the scale to me. Giant sized is his scale. I don't really care if it's a huge difference. Just to take a look. Look at, that's a pretty big difference, right? This is the 2014 one I'm just opening up, and then this is the Godzilla vs. Kong one. Pretty big difference, right? As far as the height, it's kind of incredible, and I like it. I like the change a lot. So his tail is also a little bit longer, and so he's a smaller guy, and his tail still kind of goes a little longer than this one does. And it goes a little bit slimmer too. Like I feel like it's longer and slimmer. This one's a little bit girthier and shorter, I guess, but that's a pretty noticeable difference too. The articulation for the tail seems, almost not, is it not as good? It's either the same or maybe even not as good. There's a little bit more curvature possible with the other one. Huh, interesting. One thing too is that his spikes are a little bit spikier. They're kind of sharp, ouch. I guess just be careful when you're picking them up because that kind of hurts. So let's take a look at face sculpt. There's some pretty noticeable differences here as well. The first thing off the bat I'm noticing is the teeth are painted, which I like that a lot. His head is, I would say, maybe a little more rounded, right? A little bit more rounded, I would say. Nothing crazy, but it does, I think, have a little bit more personality to it. This is more dog shaped and this is more dragon shaped. Does that make any sense? That's, I think, more the main difference. What are some other differences that I'm not mentioning right now? I'm just noticing his little gill-looking things he's got here. He kind of looks like the creature from the Black Lagoon, those little thingies there. Don't they, a little bit? I would also say his eye is a little bit better painted on this newer one as well. You can kind of see his eye, which I like. Looks good. The only other main, like, super noticeable difference, I think, with just how he looks as far as his sculpt is he looks a little bit thinner in this one. It looks like, you know, Godzilla ate a couple too many atomic bombs and, you know, his belly's a little bit bigger on this figure. The other things really are just kind of like detail. I think this one is just kind of a little bit more HD, which honestly I think is the best way to fit it. All of the detail in this is just like ×2 of the detail. As far as the sculpt, there's a whole lot more going on each little tiny thing that I think you can notice more than on this one, and that's great. Like this one's HD, and then this one's 4K. That's how I'm putting it, because there's a lot more going on this guy, a lot more. So for articulation, I'm looking at the thigh right here. There looks like there's a whole lot more open kind of space in this thigh joint, which makes it look like you've got probably a whole lot more movement over here with this guy. Like you can lift those legs all the way up. Look at that. That is great. Can you do that with him? I guess you can with him. So is it any better? I don't know. Whoa, okay, the neck, that neck is great. Okay, we're back standing up again, but the neck, you can turn all the way like that. Wow. And this one, you can, but it's not anything close. This is a far superior neck articulation than this guy. I mean, this one's fine, but he can really look over and look at you. That's great. Articulation in the arm is definitely a little bit better too. You've got a lot more freedom. Elbows go way more. This guy, that's about it, really. Man, so much personality. Look at that. So cool. Wow, it's a big difference, really big difference. Yeah, I would say articulation is just far superior on this guy. Like, it's just, you can really, I feel like, put him in more poses that feel more personality filled, you know, instead of just like, let me stop around and open my mouth. You know, you can really do a whole lot more. So that's very exciting. Just really want to make sure I give a proper shout out to Frogzilla 2025. Really big, you know, thing of 2025 this year, so I'm really glad to have it in this video. Thank you, Frogzilla. So our boy G over here also comes with some hands. In some other videos, I've kind of been a little critical of why are they coming with these weird hands? Like holdy hands, like, but he's got fists. There we go. If you want to get him a little fisty, he can do that. Kind of looks like he's dancing right now, doesn't it? He seems like he's the life of the party. Like if he's at a wedding, he's probably gonna be dancing it up. He loves the dance floor, don't you think? So what about the height over here and the actual numbers? So the one I've had previously, the other HIYA Toys one, is about 7. You know, when you stand him up taller, he's probably closer to 8 if you want to do that, you know. But he's a little bit over 7. But the new guy is kind of 6. A little over 6 inches. It's a pretty big height difference. So for length of tail, right smack down the middle to the feet here, we're at like 11 here on the new boy, and then like 10.5-ish, a little more than 10 on the old boy. So, hey, he might not be as tall, but he's got the tail length. So you got something going for you, buddy. So here he is compared to the NECA one. Yeah, this is the old NECA one. He's almost around that same size. His sculpt is pretty different. I can really tell some differences here, obviously. And man, you know what? I still think I prefer the NECA paint. There's a lot more going on. He's a little bit darker, but there's more going on in the paint here. If I'm being totally honest, NECA does good work. The HIYA Toys is the superior figure, but the paint on the NECA, I don't know. Paint on the neck is pretty good. And here he is compared to the more recent evolved Godzilla. SH Monster Arts, which I really, really love this figure. They're kind of around the same scale now. They kind of fit. He's obviously, you know, different Godzilla, so they're not gonna be totally, you know, comparable, but it's pretty interesting. To be honest, I think I still love this figure more. I really love this figure. I did a whole review on this if you're interested. That's on the channel right now. I'll have it linked in there, but very, very interesting. Also, here he is compared to the new Ling Jihun Gypsy Danger Pacific Rim figure. Unfortunately, one of the things that was disappointing about these is that he was so much bigger than Godzilla, and now he's just even bigger. There's that. It's a little disappointing, but hey, at least we got him, you know? So if you had to pick just one between the new Godzilla sculpt and the old Godzilla sculpt, which one are you picking? I'm picking the new one. I like the new one a lot. I mean, articulation's better, the paint's better. You know, you just got, I guess the only downside really is that he is a little bit smaller, I guess. If that really matters to you, then go with the big guy, but it's not a whole lot more. I think he still scales just fine with everything else. So I'm totally into the new sculpt. I think HIYA was like, you know what, we've been doing good, but we can do better. And here they go, they did. So if you want to pick a good Godzilla, you haven't gotten one yet, I'd go with him. This is the 2014 one, obviously it'll be linked in the description. Yeah, I think he's better. Am I gonna give him a W or an L? Obviously he's a W. What do you think, is he a W or L? He's a W, duh. But let me know what you think. Do you like him better? Do you like him better? W, L's, M's, X, Y, Z? I don't know, let me know. So it's been a while since I've done a winter kind of Godzilla photo, and I think it's time I do it again. Plus, it's still very winter outside, so I don't have a lot of options. So yeah, let's go and take a fun shot with him. Okay, well here we are. I'm at my favorite place, which is P-Hole Island in Cohoes, New York. And I've got Godzilla right here, walking along the mountain, passing by some trees, and he's got a couple of spectators watching him right there. So if you remember, right on that spot right there, that's where I took my Iron Giant versus Giant Iron photo, if you remember, which was a lot of fun, but it looks a whole lot different in the winter. So I'm pretty excited for this one. It's incredibly overcast. There's the sun, but there's so much clouds. And so the photo's gonna be very white. It's gonna be a very white photo, and I think that's gonna be kind of cool and maybe a little bit hazy. And I'm kind of excited for it. I've got my light reflector right there in the snow. It's not really doing a whole lot, but it's doing something. These little trees I actually found in the Target like $1 section like years ago, and they've come in handy. I used them for my other Godzilla photo I've been showing a couple times in this video, and they work great. But you can find little trees like this on you know, Hobby Lobby, any store that, you know, craft store. I'll have them linked in the description though, just to be sure if you want to pick them up. And I've got these two little people, which I also found at Hobby Lobby, and I'll have them linked in the description too. They're pretty easy to find if you go to a craft store or something like that. And I understand that they're probably way too big and out of scale for Godzilla, but who cares? That's fine. So this is what I've got going on in camera. So as you can see, there's a little tree in the background behind Godzilla, which I'm gonna try to get rid of in Photoshop. It's just kind of in the way. I don't want something like that making him look small. But anyway, my shutter speed's at 1600. The only reason it's so fast is because it's just so incredibly bright that I have to turn it up just to darken things up a little bit. And my f-stop is at 5.0, which is relatively high for me, but I would like to have a little bit more in focus, the trees and stuff like that. And my ISO is at 400. I'm gonna take a couple shots actually. I'm gonna take one with Godzilla in focus and then one with the people in focus. And then I'll probably have them both. I won't combine them or anything. I'll just have one for this, one for that, and we'll see which looks better in the end. I'm kind of curious to see which one will be more fun or what. So that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna take this shot, maybe sprinkle some snow, see how that works. But other than that, that's it. I'm just gonna take this photo. really quick, I wanted to just show you what I did with the background of this photo, because I technically did use a tool with AI, and I wanted just to clear that up as to why it looks different than the way it actually looked where I was photographing the shot. So if we look over here in Photoshop, this is the final product, and it looks great. And as you can see, the background, it's got trees, it's got lots of depth, and it's different than where it was in People's Island where I was shooting. So this is the original photo, and when I got rid of these like branches in the background here, it was way too white and just was filled with nothing, and it was so boring and stuff. So I ended up using the generative fill tool to add a completely new background, which is technically an AI tool. So I did technically use AI to get my background. Luckily, it's completely derivative off of the photo I already took, so all of the trees and everything are exactly like the trees and everything I used. But I just wanted to be clear with what I did with the background, and you know what, a little bit of AI isn't so bad. It's actually looks pretty good, especially when, you know, it's only the way it is because of the photo you've already taken, and it works out great. So Photoshop generative fill is really great. Anyway, now to the outro of the video. So what do you think? Is this Godzilla 2014 figure really better than all of the other HIYA Toys ones that they've put out? I think it is. Honestly, this is definitely going to be my go-to Godzilla figure for all of my shots going forward, unless they come out with a better one. I think it's a great figure, definitely a big upgrade. I'd definitely love to know what you think though, and if you did enjoy the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I'm going to post this photo up on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter as always. If you want to follow any of my work on those platforms, it's all linked in the video description at Sirdork. Easy to find me. And as always, thank you so much for watching and getting this far into the video, and I will be lucky to see you in the next one.